California Vehicle Code 23152F defines the crime of driving under the influence of drugs, or DUI of drugs, or DUID. There are 5 key things to note about DUID in California. First of all, the penalties are basically the same as DUI of alcohol. And that is, if you're convicted of DUI drugs, first offense, you're looking at 3 to 5 years of probation, fines usually around $1,500, DUI school, a 6-month driver's license suspension with the possibility of a restricted license, and in some counties, having to install an ignition interlock device on your vehicle. Secondly, Vehicle Code 23152F also applies to prescription drugs and even to legal recreational marijuana. So when we think of DUI of drugs, oftentimes we think of very illicit drugs like cocaine or methamphetamine, and the law certainly applies to them, but it also applies to lawfully prescribed drugs like codeine or Vicodin, and it applies to medical marijuana even if you have a medical marijuana ID card. Thirdly, the police can force you to take a blood test. Normally in a DUI case, you have a choice whether to take a breath test or a blood test, but if the police suspect you of DUI of drugs, they can force you to take a blood test specifically because a breathalyzer does not pick up the presence of these drugs. Fourth, there's no per se limit in a DUID case. So in a DUI of alcohol situation, the legislature has said there's a per se limit of 0.08. And if you're 0.08 or higher, then by definition, you're under the influence. There is no specific threshold in a DUI of drugs case. Consequently, we see many situations where prosecutors file these cases even when there's very trace amounts of the drug found in the driver's system. Fifth, and most importantly, these are often very easy cases to fight in court. We see all the time where prosecutors file these cases where the driver had very little amount of the drug in his system and was perfectly capable of driving. And we've had a great deal of success in fighting these cases in court. The take-home message is this: if you are charged with DUI of drugs here in California, don't simply assume that the case is hopeless and go in and plead guilty. Go and have a good DUI defense attorney evaluate the case. Many times it's possible to get these charges reduced or dismissed.